What's up, fellas? Lady fellas, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today, I'm doing a little discussion video on dangers because dangers are a point of concern for a lot of people that play in the competitive scene for Yu-Gi-Oh, and I don't blame them because they seem super abusable. And they promote so much degeneracy all at one time. They're all upstart goblins while also putting a monster on your field, and that's just flippin' crazy. So yeah, I'm going to talk about what I think Konami can do to kind of help fix the danger problem on the next ban list, and where I think that should go. So anyway, my thoughts on the danger overall, and this is all opinion. Obviously, I don't know for sure if this would fix it or if I'm just I don't know, blind by my own optimism or whatever. But clearly, there are dangers that are better than others. Obviously, they don't need to worry about Bigfoot, Thunderbird, Dogman, or Chupacabra. Those are the four that Konami does not really need to worry about at all. But the ones that they do need to worry about is obviously Nessie, Jackalope, Tsuchinoko. Those are the main three. And if you want to throw Mothman in there, Mothman is worse than the first three, but he's still good. He still is pretty solid, just not on the same level as those first three. So if you want to throw him in there, you can. But I think the biggest problem with dangers is when they come in a huge in multiples. When they come in numbers, that's when dangers are the most abusable, because you just have players just have turns where they literally just go on and on and on, and they're just activating five. Yeah, they activate three or four dangers in one turn. They put three monsters on board, and they still have the same amount of cards in hand as when they started with. So literally, it was just a +4 right there. You just +1 on every danger, and even if your opponent is able to snipe the danger out of your hand, you still just go 1 for 1, and you either if it's Nessie, you just search another one, and then you try again with that one. If they don't hit it, then you get your +1. So essentially, Nessie ended up being a +1 anyway. If you do Jackalope, you just special another one out, and you get at least a body on board. So it's a 1 for 1. Tsuchinoko specials itself 1 for 1. And while Mothman isn't actually a 1 for 1, it does help filter your hand. You discard a card, you draw a card, and yeah, you just fix your hand a little bit. Discard something you may not want. But it's just insane that they're all essentially going to be either +1s or a body on board at the very, very worst. So I think, like I said, dangers are the most abusable in numbers. The biggest problem with dangers is the decks that are abusing them. So the dark decks we see, the main abusers are stuff like Thunder Dragons. We've seen the Danger Thunder Dragon deck. We see Orcus abusing a lot of danger cards just because they put dark monsters on board, and then Dangers can start doing their stuff, or Orcus can start doing their stuff to make Azathoth combos and all whatever is necessary in that certain duel. You look at not to mention they just make nightmares and then set up their nightmare play. And Luna Lights, I guess, just because Luna Lights won that one. YCS, we haven't really seen them do too much. Otherwise, they have a couple tops after that, but not as much as the other two. The other two are the main ones. And even though neither of those decks are probably considered the best deck right now, it doesn't mean they don't have degeneracy. And there should just, no matter what, Yu-Gi-Oh just shouldn't have degeneracy. I just these cards are just so abusable. Even if we do hit something else to nerf Orcus, or hit something else to nerf Thunder Dragon specifically, but not Dangers. Dangers are going to be abused in some other decks. They just are, because of how generic they are, how much resources you can get off of them, how many just how much +1, how good it is for your resource game. Generically, they're not once per turn, and yeah. So the biggest problem with them, keep getting off track a little bit, but the biggest problem is in numbers. When you see these deck profiles, people are playing 12 Dangers in a 40-card Thunder Dragon deck, in a 40-card Orcus deck. And that's where the problem lies. When you can play 12 upstart goblins, why wouldn't you play 12 upstart goblins? It means your deck has insane draw power. So I think what you need to do is, I don't think you need to ban any of them, actually. I don't think that's the way to go. What you need to do is you just need to limit the engine. You just can't let players start playing like generic 12 card engines that like aren't that they're just like it's so generic that it's not even like a cool specific engine you're playing. It's just super super generic. So what you need to do is, I think the best thing Konami should do is, I don't think they want to ban dangers because that's like their new TCG exclusive archetype. Like they don't want to just ban half of the cards in it, especially the good ones. So I think your best option is to just limit all of them, not all of them, but all the better ones. So I think at the very least, limit Nessie, limit Jackalope. Tsuchinoko is like right behind them. So if it were me, I would limit Nessie, Jackalope, Tsuchinoko, and then Mothman, I think for me is like a toss-up. If they did, I wouldn't be mad at it. If they didn't, I wouldn't be mad at it. But at least those first three, I think, should all be put to one. And then I don't even know if people play the engine anymore. I think some people definitely will, because Nessie can still search out another danger. Jackalope can still special out Nessie or whichever one you want to special from deck. Tsuchinoko still gets itself back on board immediately. You just can't play 12 of them. You are cut from playing 12. Like if you're playing the max engine, you're playing. Some people play like Chupacabra, and you see some people play Bigfoot or whatever, but the max engine is what, 15, and that cuts it down right there from at least the max, going down from 15 to 7. And then at 7, like you're not opening hands with 7 with like 3 or 4 dangers and just going off, like just drawing 4 cards while also putting 4 monsters on the field and having 4 monsters on the field starting your turn essentially with the same amount of cards that you started in your opening hand. They're still there, and they still have our possibility of upstart goblins, but the ceiling is not there. They're not there for the abusability. If you could use 1 or 2 dangers in a turn, I don't think that's crazy. But when you have these turns where you literally activate like 4 dangers and you put 4 monsters on board, like that's when it starts getting a little too much for the game. Now, you could argue that dangers in those specific decks, because they're dark, have some synergy, and they are abusable via other cards in the archetypes, and some of those other cards include like Saryuja Skulldread, because they all have different names. If you can just danger out 3 or 4 dangers, then you can just make Saryuja. Saryuja lets you draw 4, fix your hand again, maybe you draw more dangers, then you start doing like activating those ones, and then you can special some from hand if you have any clogged up in your hand. So people would argue, like, put Saryuja down to 1 so that you can't just Saryuja into Saryuja into Saryuja and literally draw through like 30 cards in your deck, and then you won because you filtered through 30 cards of your deck. You saw every card you pretty much probably needed to see in the whole duel. And I think Saryuja should be at 1 anyway. It's not once per turn, and I think Konami just didn't think that anybody would be able to summon 12 different named monsters like in a turn, or 3 different sets of 4 monsters with different names in a turn. So they didn't worry about it, but I think they've learned, and I think we'll see Saryuja go down to 1. I think it's still a cool card. I just don't think it should be at multiples, because we've seen multiple decks like this rise up where they do like really, really degenerate things, just filtering through 3 Saryujas, drawing through their entire deck, and at that point, like, how are you supposed to play against that when they've seen every card in their deck? So I don't think Saryuja is the problem. I think the dangers going into Saryuja is the problem. Like, it's always the engine. Like, very rarely is it like the win condition that is stupid. It's usually the engine that gets you to the win condition. And I think it's a little bit of both. Saryuja shouldn't be at more than 1, and the dangers shouldn't be at the numbers they're at, because you can just play 12 in any deck. Honestly, like, they have more synergy in the decks they're played in now, but I wouldn't even be surprised if you just saw like random decks playing them, because they're just such good. They get you so much advantage as long as you're not crazy unlucky with your opponent, sniping them. But yeah, I don't think Saryuja is the problem. And then people also look at, for the Orcus deck and a couple other decks as well, the Phantom Knights rank up magic launch card, because this card is pretty much searchable off of Rusty Bardiche, the Phantom Knights Link monster, and his materials are any 3 dark monsters, so you can just put 3 dangers on board and go right into him, search this card while also searching like another Phantom Knights card, and then you win. Pretty much. Like, this summons Azathoth, your opponent can't play on their turn with monster effects, and that's the whole problem there. I think this card should be banned as is. It just lets you summon like cards that you should not be able to summon. And Phantom Knights they've just given Phantom Knights like too much support. I feel like they had like some powerful cards, but they didn't quite link together. And now with Rusty Bardiche, it's just any dark like engine that works with PKs gets them into like anything they need from the entire archetype. Some of those abusable cards, like Phantom Knights, rank up Magic Launch. So I think this card should be banned. Like, if it's a rank 5, like, it's a rank 5. Like, you should have to rank 2 level 5s into it. It is what it is. You shouldn't be able to just, like, slap it on like that. I feel like, especially a card like Azathoth that just, like, turns off your effects for, like, your whole turn. Your turn, which is busted. So, I think this card should be banned. I don't think this card is, like, the problem. I think dangers are the biggest problem here. So, I think cutting down the engine from, pretty much that, 12 to 15 card engine that most people play in competitive versions to 4 to 7, then that's small enough where it's not going to be crazy abusable. Maybe you have certain duels where at the max they +3, but most duels they're just going to get a +1, maybe a +2, and that'll be the end of it. And I'm okay with that. I'm just not okay with like literally +5. That's when it gets too much. That's when it's too much because you can just play too many of these cards. So that's my opinion on what I think we should see from Konami doing anything to the dangers. Because I think if they don't, we're just gonna see even more of it. Like, dark is the most common type in the game. As more dark decks come out, we're just gonna see more and more dangers. Like more and more decks get abused with dangers and just push them so much further. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what your opinions are on where the dangers should be, what Konami should do. If you think they should just leave dangers alone, don't even touch them. If you think they should ban all the dangers, that seems a little excessive to me. Or maybe just ban like the best ones. So maybe ban Jackalope and Nessie, but like leave the rest. And then at that point, do they even play them? Because what, are you just going to play Tsuchinoko? This is also a weird like little hit to like Burning Abyss if you hit Jackalope and Tsuchinoko, because we do know Cherubini is coming out, and those two, Tsuchinoko and Jackalope, are two of the best extenders, like non-BA extenders, to play in the deck. Because we unlike in the OCG, we don't have Terror Top at 2. We only have it at 1, so it's almost not even worth playing with the Takatam board. If you have like the same chance of drawing either one, because one's a huge brick and one is a really good extender. But I don't know, just some thoughts on the dangers as a whole. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you think Konami should approach dangers in the future and on future FNL lists. And yeah, I think I'm gonna get out of here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully we get some news soon. I know we have dual power-ups coming up soon, as well as Dark Neostorm, so hopefully we'll be getting more cards to kind of fill out the rest of those sets, because I miss doing news videos, but we haven't been getting news. So hopefully that comes soon. And I'm also still working on deck profiles and stuff. A spicy Salamangreat deck profile. I know it's been overdone all over the place, but hopefully it's different enough that you guys still enjoy it. And yeah, I think I'm gonna get the hell out of here. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.